Welcome, everyone, to episode 148 of Rush Roundtable. We're continuing our insane craziness of picking the most overlooked song from every album. This episode is Presto through Test for Echo. We have an outstanding cast of characters. They're mostly characters. This is going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. Ryan, take us away.
All right, so starting it off with Presto, I will first say that these four albums may perhaps be the group, the most overlooked group of any of the albums we're going to talk about throughout this series, all together. They all seem to be ones that are overlooked. But I'm going to say for Presto, Available Light. I mean, how can you not? It's the closing track on the record. It's overlooked. Probably because not only is it last, it is a longer album. It was the longest to that point. But I feel like the band kind of overlooked this one. I don't think the fans really do, at least nowadays. The fan, they're always kind of coming back to this one as a deeper cut that is beloved. But I feel like the band probably should have brought this out, played this live at some point. Perhaps maybe it was too difficult. Perhaps it was never one that connected with them. I don't know. But I think the fans would have really enjoyed this one being played live. So I definitely think it's overlooked.
Yeah, it's a good choice. And that's one of my favorites as well. I mean, when I get to the end of that record, it's like, it's a great song. I just want to hear it. Yeah. So I picked Scars because, Presto is one of those records where it's almost like the whole record is overlooked. But they brought Presto back on the Time Machine tour. But after the pass, a very deep moving song about some very serious issues, and then War Paint about teenagers trying to fit in, and then you get Scars. And I don't know, I don't ever hear anybody talk about this song. Our criteria is overlooked by whom. Ryan, a lot of yours seem to be overlooked by the band in this series. I don't know, I don't hear anybody talk about this song, but I think it's phenomenal. On that line, I get this feeling, after almost every verse is just so melodic, and I love it, and I think it's overlooked. Donna?
I'm going to go with Ryan. I mean, not literally, but I mean, spiritually speaking, we are simpatico on this one. I think Available Light is overlooked by everyone. And I understand, the fans know the song, blah, blah. And I'm not blah, blah, blahing the fans. I'm saying that you could say that to every single Rush cast we have ever done. It's like, well, the fans know this song, except, but if I mention Available Light to the average person who isn't necessarily a Rush fan, they're like, available what? And I think this song shows off some of the themes that we've talked about before that Neil has mentioned with respect to the wind and the images of who I used to be, and the restless wind, the sleepless wind, a play of light, a photograph, the way I used to be. Some half-forgotten stranger doesn't mean that much to me, but who is that stranger? Is it him? Is it somebody that he remembers from his past? Is it that stranger from the Fear trilogy with the dangerous eyes? It could be almost anyone. And in order to truly understand some of these songs, you have to get into some of the songs that came before it, because it isn't necessarily repetition for Neil. It's an evolution of his thought. And when he's talking about trick of light, moving picture, moments caught in flight, I keep thinking, freeze this moment just a little bit longer. Like, it's all related. And why aren't more people given access to this song?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful. Beautiful. Paul, what do you got to say?
I'm going to take a page of the book of Donna Halper and talk about how radio maybe ignores certain songs or overlooks certain songs. And I think this one, is one of Ryan's personal favorites, but it's Superconductor. I think it's honestly it's a catchy groove. It's probably could be radio friendly, but just gets completely disregarded. I think a lot of fans kind of skip over it, to be honest with you. But there was only two singles off that album, which was The Pass and Show Don't Tell. So I think Superconductor is overlooked from the radio standpoint. And I like the song. It's a catchy tune. And if you watch the video, it's the only time you'll see Geddy and Alex flip on stage.
Yeah, I was gonna say there is a music video for it, so
there is a music video.
The band thought it was
worthy,
poppy enough, to do that. I mean, I don't know,
but never officially got released as a single, as far as I know. So that's my take.
That's a good one, Adam.
And I'm sure Ryan agrees with me 100%. Right?
What's his favorite song?
It's not me who dislikes his song. It's Nick. It's our pal Nick.
Right. Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. He thinks that song is like the bottom of the barrel of Rush songs. I happen to enjoy it. I think it's cool. Not great. It's good.
So mine would also be Available Light, but I also echo all the sentiments shared so far, but I think the thing that I feel is most overlooked is Alex's guitar tone, especially in the solo. Just it cuts through everything so well. It's just like it's almost a brassy kind of a sound, and he really didn't use that kind of a tone in much else. There's subtle elements of that tone throughout, especially in the later stuff, but he never really went as far with that tone as I wish he would have explored that a little bit more in some of his other solos, but I just absolutely love his guitar tone in that song.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah, Paul and I are the odd men out in this round, right? Available Light seems to be the song. Paul and I are odd anyway. But one line that didn't get mentioned is chase the sun around the world. I want to look at life in the available light. I mean, that was Neil, right? He wanted to just suck all the marrow out of everything. So
there are a whole bunch of lines in that song that I think we all could have analyzed. If this were the Rush deep dive, you could spend like 25 minutes just on that song. I was trying to be minimal.
And it's a shame because, Donna, that's the one deep dive that you couldn't make, and you were going to talk about Available Light, right? So, well, I haven't asked you this yet, but I will ask you now publicly. When we do our Rush Roundtable song discussion for Available Light, I would like to have you on to talk about this song. So it'll be a while, but we got Hold Your Fire to do first. But I just wanted to say, Adam, to that point, that solo to me is very atmospheric, is what I think. It really adds to the atmosphere of that song, and I think it's brilliant. It's not some banger of a solo that he wanks out on or anything like that. It's just it's a really atmospheric song that it really sets the tone and the mood for that song. So I think it's really good.
Yeah. If y'all hear a dog in the background wanting attention, my apologies. So let's move on. Roll the Bones. Ryan.
Yeah, Roll the Bones. The song that I'm going to go with here is Face Up, as being overlooked. And I think, like what you said about Scars, David, this song is overlooked by everybody. And it's weird to me because this is the song that there's an interview with Neil. They're in the studio, whatever you want to call it, where they shot the Roll the Bones music video with the water in front of it. We talked about all that setup on the Roll the Bones deep dive. But Neil's there. He's giving an interview. Face Up, the Turn the Wild Card Down. That line started the entire theme of Roll the Bones. The whole that's what. It's not a concept album, but it's obviously one of the albums with the most notable themes, or easy themes to pick up on, I guess.
All their albums seem to have a theme,
some underlying theme, no pun intended, or maybe pun intended. But yeah, I think obviously Roll the Bones is definitely one that you pick up on the most. But yeah, it just seems that you would have thought that given this was the one that inspired the album thematically, and I would assume probably one of the first songs they wrote, but they, in my opinion, they seem to have high hopes for this song, and it really didn't cut it, I guess. So I think it's just overlooked by everyone. It is a song I go back to. I really enjoy this song. I haven't listened to the song in probably months, but I really do enjoy this song. Overlooked by fans, never got played live, so overlooked by the band. I mean, obviously overlooked by radio. You know, it's catchy. It's like Superconductor. It's catchy and it's, yeah. I mean, it's, I guess, relatable, but yeah, I just think it's overlooked by everyone.
Yeah, no, it occurs to me that so many Rush songs that have catchy beats and catchy tunes have lyrics that aren't simple. So radio still,
Sure.
right? I don't know. Okay, my selection for Roll the Bones is "Where's My Thing." It's the instrumental that doesn't get love, right? I mean, there's YYZ, you know, all Via Strangiato, you know, so it's kind of one of those instrumentals I think that nobody thinks about, but it's rocking, it's melodic, it's a great instrumental. So yeah, I think nobody thinks about that one. That's all I'll say about that. Dr. Howard.
Gotta do Ghost of a Chance. Got to. Now, here again, every Rush fan is going, well, duh. And most of the people out there that get their knowledge of Rush from listening to the radio or from watching videos that some, you know, Pandora, Spotify, or whatever somebody recommended to them, somehow it ain't Ghost of a Chance. And I say this is an incredibly important song if you want to understand Neil as a survivor, okay? I mean, here's a guy who lost his wife, who lost his daughter, who went through a deep depression. Hence the lines in here. I don't believe in destiny or the guiding hand of fate. I don't believe in forever or love as a mystical state. I mean, here's someone who lost everything, and yet he comes back. He comes back because he wants to believe that there's a ghost of a chance, okay? I don't believe in the stars or the planets. I don't believe in angels watching from above. But what does he believe? In spite of everything, he believes that there is a ghost of a chance that we can find someone to love and make it last. And he does find someone to love, and it does last until, unfortunately, his tragic demise. But my point is, he has said in interviews that he didn't want to write like a love song about, oh, you know, forever this and, you know, the angels and God. And he said, no, that's just not me. But on the other hand, we see a recurring theme in his music about wanting to find someone or something to believe in. And what is the something he ends up believing in? Love. And what is the someone? There's a ghost of a chance that will find someone to love and make it last. And he finds that someone. So I think this song, from a historical point of view, and don't forget, I'm a media historian. So just looking at it from the evolution of Neil's thought and his attitude, you've got to listen to the lyrics of this song, and shame on radio for not giving this song more play.
Yeah. And, you know, it never occurred to me now, and I wouldn't presume to think that Neil did this intentionally, but of course, later on Vapor Trails comes Ghost Rider, you know.
And I'm going to talk more about the recurrence of that theme of, you know, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in that, but I do believe that there's even some chance. And yeah, it may be kind of ghostly, it may be kind of temporary, it may be kind of like we're chasing after it, but I've got to believe it's out there.
Faithless. It's there too.
Yeah, that we're going there. We
So-
will go there. But that's
Can't
my
get ahead of
point.
ourselves.
It's interrelated. There are no accidents here. There are
So-
no accidents. He doesn't just wake up on a
So
Thursday.
Neil was a
and decide
thinker
to-
that kept revisiting themes. Imagine that.
Absolutely. And not just revisiting them because he ran out of stuff to say, but revisiting them because he's starting to see it in a different light.
There's more to
There
say.
are songs where it's really depressing and really dark, but then he comes out the other side, just like he's inviting us to do. As bad as it might get, don't give up on it, because maybe there is a ghost of a chance and it's worth fighting for it.
Well, see, that's why Rush has been the soundtrack of our lives, right there,
Absolutely.
right there. Paul.
Well, Ryan made it pretty simple for me because he kind of explained everything I wanted to talk about, but not the same song, not Face Up. I picked Neurotica. So one of those nice songs that seem to be overlooked by. That's the one song I'm on Roll the Bones that like I don't skip. It comes on. I'm like, well, it's a good, it's a good tune, right? So same thing. I mean, I don't skip on Ghost of a Chance either, or Roll the Bones. I might skip once in a while, because it's just you've heard it so much. After a while, you kind of And people always talk about the rap part, but no, for me it's Neurotica, and basically all that Ryan talked about.
Mhm.
Put that song on 1.5 speed on YouTube and listen to it. You get a kick out of it, I promise.
What, Neurotica?
Mm-hmm. Just
Ooh.
Erotica, Exotica. Oh, just do it.
Write that down. Things to do.
You'll have fun.
But
Mental
Paul,
note.
what you said about Roll the Bones, not just the rap part, but it's very Buddhist. I mean, why are we here? Because we're
Because
here.
we're here.
Yeah,
Roll
sure.
the bones. Whatever happens, happens. There's no predicting it. There's no magical whatever. It just,
Mhm.
whatever happens. I can hear a football coach. Well, it is what it is. Hey, ooh, yeah. And I would imagine that, that's, yep.
It's very
is what it
stoic
is.
too. Very Zeno, very Epictetus in terms of what happens was supposed to. So just
Yep.
go with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Outstanding. Adam, what do you got?
So my pick is Big Wheel. In particular, I think that is one that, could still be played on the radio. But I mean, I think out of all the Rush songs, it's there at the top of ones that could just work so well on radio if it was any other band.
Mhm.
It ticks all of the boxes. The lyrics are very accessible. It's a very teen approach to life. The melody is super catchy, and it's got one of the best musical build-ups to the chorus. And I think it would just be an absolute hit. But nobody outside of the Rush fandom knows anything about it.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick. I love that song. Recently wrote about it on my Interpreting Rush blog, but it starts out this youthful naivete, go for it, and then, gosh, lined up for glory, but the tickets sold out in advance. But then the song ends with, get out there and do it again anyway. It's a great song, great pick. All right.
And that also gives me a chance to promote David's blog, okay? Because David is a professor of philosophy. He has a wonderful blog where he interprets Rush songs from a philosophical point of view. It's readable. It's not like out here somewhere. And if you want to read some really interesting perspectives, this guy. And he
Well,
didn't
thank you,
pay
Donna.
me to say it.
Thank you so much. Checks in the mail.
Yeah. Not like your last check. That
Yeah, not yet. He didn't pay you to say it. Yeah.
It's double the last check that I sent you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just try to have some fun. I don't presume to know what Neil meant, right? But that's the whole point.
Yes, but did Neil presume to know what you meant?
Well, he never asked me. And
He was going to.
always wanted to run into him in a diner and not tell him that I knew who he was. That was my dream. Just to have coffee and say, what are you reading, buddy? And go from there. But we digress. Counterparts. one of my favorite albums. I think one of Ryan's as well.
Yeah, could you tell?
Yeah, maybe.
Kind of subtle about these things. You know what I'm saying?
So I mean, there's a lot of picks from all these records. And I went back and forth between the song I'm going to pick and Cut to the Chase. But the song that I chose is Double Agent. And I think this song often gets overlooked by, I guess, fans or, the music industry. Rush did play this song on the Counterpart Store. A song described as a bit demented by Getty, if you watch the bootleg YouTube video. But I think it's overlooked because of the spoken word. People are like, on the edge of sleep, I was drifting for half the night, anxious and restless, pressed down by the darkness, bound up and wound up so tight, and there's more spoken word. There's a lot of spoken word in the song, but once you get past that and realize how that contributes to, use the word atmosphere again, of this song, and the message that it's trying to, portray, this song is freaking awesome. So I always thought it was just weird, insomnia type song, but it's actually a really good song, and I don't hear it get talked about as, people's favorite songs, and it's probably in my personal favorite top 10. So definitely go check it out if you haven't, or if you've overlooked it for however long because of the spoken word. Give it 5 or 10 listens, and see if you come around on it.
You've overlooked it, go back and look it over.
There you go.
All right. So my pick is Alien Shore. Love that song for a lot of reasons. One of the things I've said about when people say, what about Rush, or tell me about Rush, and I'm talking about Counterparts, I usually say anything you ever needed to know about human relationships, you can figure out or find from the themes on Counterparts, right? From the very first song, Animate, which is kicking, great song. A lot of, Jungian psychoanalysis in that song and those symbols and things. But Alien Shore, I've always loved that song because it really speaks to our isolation from one another, but the possibility that, well, we can add to each other like a coral reef. And, what is alien maybe can become a little friendly and familiar. It just, I think my Instagram has Alien Shore in it. It's been so long since I have no idea, if I had to sign on again, I'd probably be lost. But
yes, it is. That it does. I have to tag you in group chats all the time. So there you go.
Oh, great. Thanks. So, yeah, absolutely love that song. And, we're trying to build these bridges. It's like, it's another Entre Nous, right? From that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song. I love it. It's so meaningful. I think it continues to speak to so much that we deal with and face today. And so if you've overlooked it, like I said, go look it over.
David, I just want to add, now's a good time to promote this too. If you haven't read this, I believe it's really cheap on Amazon. There's a part I'm in the process of. You got the first edition, yeah. This is the second edition that just.
Is there more in the second edition? That was a question I had.
I don't know. I don't have the first edition, but.
And by the way,
75.
The interview that you all did.
I was just about to say, yeah.
Jim, I think Jim hosted that, Jim Benner. That was, if you haven't seen that, folks, go back and watch that. That was a wonderful conversation.
Yep.
I have to say.
I just wanted to mention that he does a really good write-up of Counterparts in this. And, I've kind of been skipping around because it's not a book you have to read, chapter by chapter. But definitely check that out if you haven't, if you want to kind of, learn about Rush lyrics and from a different perspective. It's a great book.
It is indeed. So, Donna, yes?
I am. It's true. No, I was just listening. The thing I love about these is just listening to other people's rationales, because it's not just, oh, this didn't get played by radio, or this one wasn't played live by the band, or this one only came out on a Tuesday and it should have been a Thursday. And it's just listening to why these songs resonate with each of us. And in my particular case, I got to go with Between Sun and Moon. Okay. That song really, really resonates. The idea that, for example, the ancients used to worship the sun, but Neil is not advocating worshiping the sun. He's talking about the fact that there are dichotomies between the light and the dark, between wisdom and ignorance, between action and inaction. And he's looking at the ironies in life. Now, this song, of course, began its life as a poem, okay, way back, long before it was ever recorded. And in some ways, it seems to me very poetic. Okay, between a whisper and a shout, the space between wisdom and doubt, between sun and moon, a fine line between love, a fine place to penetrate, the gap between actor and act, the lens between wishes and fact. I mean, we're always at odds with what we should do versus what we do, what we think about doing versus what we end up doing. And there's the sun and the aspiration, and then there's the things that stop us. And here again, I'm looking at Neil living his life and thinking about what he should do, what's stopping him from doing it, the artist wanting to speak up, but all of these factors preventing him from speaking up. And yet there's the music, and yet there's the light, and there's that theme that we see through so many of their songs about light and darkness. I just think it's a beautiful song. It's got a wonderful message. And here again, when I mention this to people, they're like, again, us, sure, we can quote it. Everybody else, one of the mysteries to me is why songs like this, with such an interesting message, just don't get the love that they deserve.
Donna, that was the second time you said "here again" tonight.
I did.
I'm just curious if that was on purpose.
He did.
There you go.
Getty, whenever I think of Here Again, I'm glad you mentioned that, Ryan. I paid you to do that, and thank you. No, but whenever I think of Here Again, I always think of a very, very young Getty telling me how excited and terrified the band was to be playing in big halls, and they didn't have a ton of material, so they were mainly playing everything from their first album, whether they wanted to or not. He said, like, just standing there and looking out at this audience, just like, on the one hand, you're thrilled to be there, but on the other hand, you're scared to death. And there again, there's that dichotomy. See, I did there again instead of here again. One more time. There's that dichotomy between what you're feeling and what you have to do, and what your emotional reaction towards it is. I just think it is such a real song. I mean, just the emotions and the tensions between the ideal and the actual are just so beautifully expressed.
Yeah, and it's kind of that space in between, right? Between
exactly.
That's how it works itself out in real time.
And how life is not always so cut and dried.
Yeah,
it's not always like, oh, either you do this or you do that. Sometimes it's like, I don't know.
So Donna, I'd like to invite you to do a guest post on interpreting Rush for that song, but
Hey, but I don't have a degree in philosophy. I just, just your average working class kid.
Hey, I come from Indiana, factory background, factory town. Oh, heading up to Snakes and Arrows, getting ahead, working them angels.
And isn't that what's wonderful about Rush? Because, no, but all joking aside, who in the band went to college? None of them.
Made it out of high school.
Who in the band graduated from high school? One of them, and it's not the one that people usually think. Everybody, Neil's got a degree. Did not. The three of them are just such a shining example of people that are self-taught, who never stopped learning, who love learning, and who continued for years to read everything they could get their hands on and continue to learn and grow. And they have so much that they can teach us. I mean, look at the conversations that we are able to have even years after some of these songs were written. How many bands can you say that about?
Right.
I can think of very few, but outstanding. Oh, this is awesome. Paul.
When I became a huge Rush fan, Counterparts was the first album that was released, like after I became a huge fan. So up to that point, I had never had a new release come out. And so I was all excited when I found out October 1993 this was coming out. So when this came out, I absorbed this album. Like I played it to death. So finding an overlooked song was really kind of hard because there's so many songs on there that are overlooked. I have to agree with Ryan, like Double Agent's one of them. My all-time, probably my favorite on that album. But all that to say, for me personally, and shout out to Jared who couldn't be here tonight, but Everyday Glory is, I find, very overlooked towards the end of the album. It's the lyrics that just I was just rereading them, and they resound so much. It's just, it's a nice song, ignored by radio too, I think. Honestly, I think it could have done, but once again, the subject matter kind of really goes, not sure if I want to go that direction. Let's skip. So they stuck to singles like Nobody's Hero and stick it out. But personally, for me, Everyday Glory, it's a beautiful song. It's not overly heavy. It's just a great way to kind of wind up the album. So, but I find it's overlooked.
Yeah, indeed. Adam.
Yeah, 100% agree about Everyday Glory. But I'm also picking between Sun and Moon. But for me, what makes it, I think one of the most overlooked aspects about it is the fact that this is Alex's only country solo. And it's just such a rocking good time. Like, just so fun to hear him kind of internalize that style and give it a go on the song, and then just like the REM style, like nonsense filler vowels that Getty does in the chorus. And it's just, I love the fact that they have such a rocking good time musically with lyrics that if you're just rocking out to the music, you completely miss the depth to it. You're lulled into this false sense of security of like, oh, this is just some easy listening from Rush, but it's never that easy.
Yeah. I think, in all of these episodes that we've done so far on overlooked songs, I'm beginning to pick up a theme, and that's what's overlooked is their genius. Whether it's being, super serious, whether it's being regular guys, whether it's being a bunch of goofy guys, they always pull it off. So, well, moving on. We got to move on. All good things must come to an end. The last record we're going to talk about tonight is Test for Echo. Ryan.
As half the viewership probably drops off at this point, my pick for Test for Echo is the whole friggin' thing. The whole friggin' record is overlooked.
Oh.
That's what I wrote down. The whole friggin' thing. Because this record is just, it's awesome. And some people say, then this is false, but some people say that, they were out of ideas at this time, or things like that. And no, there is a theme on this record. It's obviously not as apparent as the two albums that came before it, Roll the Bones and Counterparts. Donna talks about this on the Test for Echo deep dive that we did probably, I don't know, a year ago at this point. But the whole record is overlooked. Every single song on this album is overlooked. I mean, they did Test for Echo and Driven live, on Test for Echo tour, and Driven, I think, was brought back for Rio, but Resist was brought out for R30, but it really didn't get much, concert play from the band. After that, nobody ever talks about hardly any of these songs. I mean, obviously some are more overlooked than others, you know, looking at you, Dog Ears and Virtuality and songs like that, but Carve Away the Stone. But yeah, it's definitely one that everyone should go back and re-listen to, even if you like it, because I think it will grow on you even more. It's probably a top 5 album for me. I think it's that good.
Yeah.
So
No,
there you go.
I absolutely agree. And there's not a single song that just doesn't, when you really sit down and listen to it. And, you know, it wasn't the song I picked, but Half the World, I think, is one of the best songs ever written. I mean, it's just such an awesome song. Color of Right also. But I picked Dog Ears. Why is it overlooked? Because people go, what's this tortoise from Galapagos? Or a dog, a canine chasing cars in doggy heaven? You know, I think sometimes when Neil writes lyrics like that, even Rush fans go, what's this? You know, this is just so goofy and strange. And yeah, maybe they were out of ideas. But if you actually spend a little time thinking about what he's saying, it's a powerful message. And yeah, Dog Ears, love it. Listen to it again and again. And that's my pick.
There is the cheese factor that some people throw out there with this song, which I get it, and that's understandable. But once you get past that, which same thing like what I talked about with Double Agent, it can come off as kind of cheesy at first. But once you get past some of these things, you know, not everything's freaking hemispheres. Okay, not everything's 2112. You know, you got to get
and hasn't been since the late 70s.
yeah, yeah.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Donna, what do you got for us?
I have eternal gratitude for the chance to have this conversation, is what I've got. So there I was sitting in a friend's car a while back, around 2010, and he kept playing Test for Echo. And he kept playing one particular song, and it really stayed with me. At the time, I was like, if I ever hear this song again, I think I will throw up. But gradually, I started thinking more about it. And I find this to be one of these songs where when I'm in a bad mood, I put this song on and it really cheers me up. And that's Driven. Okay. And I'll tell you why. All right. This is a song that on the surface seems like it's really depressing, you know, driven up and down in circles, skidding down a road of black ice, you know, and the thing about spinning like a whirlwind of leaves, driven to the margin of terror, you know, it's like the Fear trilogy. And except to me, the most powerful lines in it are, but it's my turn to drive. It's like I'm taking back the wheel. I'm taking back control of my life. I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to live in terror. I'm not going to be driven to the edge of control, driven to the margin of terror. No, I'm not going to live a life of fear. I'm not going to go down that deep, dark hole. It's my turn to drive. I'm taking it back. And as I said, on days when I feel like the universe is conspiring against me and everything is out of control, when I listen to this, I think about Neil and I think about all the stuff he went through. And I think about the power of that one word, but it's my turn to drive. You can tell me all the stuff you're afraid of. You can tell me all the stuff you're worried about. You can tell me all your fear, all your insecurity. Now, is it your turn to drive or not? Are you going to let other people, you know, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Okay. So if you're going to sit on the sidelines and let other people drive you nuts, no pun intended, if you're going to let people drive you to a place where you don't want to go, you've just given it up. You've just given it over to somebody else. It's my turn to drive. So I'm thinking in that way, and I'm thinking that this is a powerful song with a powerful but very deceptive message, and it never got the love it deserved from anyone other than folks like us.
Yeah, and rock radio. I mean, that song drives. So.
Yes, it does. And it's very philosophical in a good way.
Yeah.
It's like, are you going to give in or are you going to resist? Are you going to let other people do the acting or are you going to take agency? Who's going to tell your story?
Yeah. Again, it's that in between the things we can control and can't control.
Between sun and moon. This is
And
a
Neil Ever the
recurring
Stoic.
theme.
Going to control what I can control.
Absolutely.
Donna, you are on fire tonight with the Rush puns, by the way. You just said resist. I don't know if that was on purpose.
Of course, come on. This is why you pay me the big bucks.
Right. Paul.
when Test for Echo first came out, I wasn't initially sold, but it grew on me, and it's one of my favorite albums. I agree with Ryan on that part.
Yep.
You really have to take the time to listen to it, start to finish, really absorb the songs. I find musically the album is fantastic. Just the riffs and the guitar is just the continued counterparts into Test for Echo. For a song, I'm a sucker for odd time signatures, and I find sometimes certain chords, like guitar chords, but like it just resonates. And with that in mind, for me, that's Overlook. It's Time and Motion. That one, every time it starts, I stop. Like, well, not if I'm driving, but you know what I mean. Like it catches my attention right away. I absolutely love the chorus and the odd time signatures, and it's just. And I find no one really talks about that song much. They always talk about the dog years and the virtuality and the songs that people can go, and they always seem to skip Time and Motion. It's one of my favorites from that album.
Excellent choice. Adam, what's yours?
So mine would have to be the closer to that album, Carve Away the Stone. This is, for me, one of the most cohesive Rush albums, musically and lyrically. Obviously, their albums always have a theme running through them. But this one especially, I think each song builds on the previous one. And so if you aren't an audio engineer, you don't really think much about mastering and that process. But especially at this time, still, mastering also included the ordering of the songs, and you really had to think what was going to be the nice flow for someone listening to an album start to finish. And I think this album does such a great job of just the ebb and flow of the kind of music, and the lyrics have just such a great narrative thread. And then Carve Away the Stone, just it gives you a chance to reflect on everything that's happened over the course of the album. It gives you a chance to have hope for the future based on what you've learned through the album. And so many people skip it because they, by the time they've gotten there, if they haven't enjoyed the album, it's like, why am I going to listen to this underwhelming, just mid-tempo kind of a song? But you're missing out if you're skipping this song. There's just so much to love about this song.
Can I ask a real quick question? Why do you think this entire album did not get a whole lot of love from people? I've always thought it's such an underappreciated album. I'm with Ryan about like every single song. Well, I don't know about every single song, but I gotta say, I was really surprised when this came out, and people were like, are you serious? But why do you think this just didn't get the love?
The only thing I can think of is like this cheesy idea, like this mentality that a lot, like half the world, kind of little country, The Color of Right, I don't know, maybe it's just a little random. I think a lot of folks just think this album is a lot of random songs just thrown together, whereas when you come from Roll the Bones, which is a phenomenal theme, and Counterparts, which has a phenomenal theme, a lot of this is what I read online. I mean, I don't think that, but folks just think it's just randomness, and it's not. Like, okay, maybe some of the song titles are kind of corny, dog years, virtuality, things like that, but the songs are. I mean, Adam said it, best. Yeah. I mean, and again, the deep dive, Donna, that I'm most proud of is our Test for Echo deep dive, because the amount of comments that we got from people saying, "Oh, I went back and re-listened to this album, and wow, my opinion's changed on it." So now's another opportunity to promote that.
Yeah.
Not the deep dive. I mean the record. Like, go do that.
Oh, but by the way,
yeah.
why didn't you go back on YouTube?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah.
it's funny, when people, I mean, you're talking about Rush with decades of really smart stuff. So if your initial reaction is, what's this dog years or net boy, net girl? You might want to stop, slow down, and take a look at it based on the creds the guys have on just deep songs and things that speak to us right where we live. And this is one of those albums that does that. And, with Carve Away the Stone, the one that, Adam just talked about, it's really, it's a happy song to end an album with, I think. It was great. So, well, I want to keep going. I just want to keep talking, but Ryan will never let me host again. If
no, do it. People want to drop off, they can drop off. That's their own prerogative.
There's so many things, and this series, this roundtable series of overlooked songs, is just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I think each one.
We got more, don't we? I mean, don't we have some other?
One more.
There's one more, but I'm not going to be involved. I can't be here because
so we get to talk about you behind your back. Cool.
Maya Wynn is coming to my hometown and going to be playing a show Monday night, October 3rd. So I'm going to plug again, if you're in the Dallas area, Uncorked Bar and Grill, Custer Road in McKinney, Texas. Come see Maya Wynn. It's a free show. Throw some money at her, if you want. We would like that. But, we just want you to come. And she's really stoked about coming to the Dallas area. So come for that. But these episodes have been outstanding. And talk about me behind my back. I'll watch the episode later and see what you have to say. And
speaking of talking about people behind their back, just because somebody actually asked me, did you wish Geddy Lee a happy new year? And the answer is, why, yes, I did. As we are taping this, it is Jewish New Year, and it lasts for 10 days. And I absolutely talked to Geddy's sister and asked her to pass along to Geddy, who wasn't in town, but asked her to pass along our wishes for a very happy and healthy New Year. And for all of our Jewish viewers who are watching, even if you're watching it later, it's never too late. Happy New Year, a healthy one. And thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
What a perfect note.
As we are recording this in about, 2 hours, Alex and Geddy are, well, probably not 2 hours, but the show starts in 2 hours, the Taylor Hawkins tribute show out in LA. So that is tonight.
That's true. Outstanding.
So I'm sure by the time this is up, folks will have
already seen
cell phone clips and things. Yeah.
Speaking of, and when this is up, one of the things that I've gotten a tremendous kick out of is looking at viewer comments. Okay. And let me leave a shameless plug for that. I know David was going to also, so I don't mean to steal his thunder, but no kidding. We read every comment you leave. Seriously. So if we just did some songs and you're sitting there going, why, mommy? As opposed to, yeah, that one. Please let us know. And we're always interested in what you've got to say, because we couldn't do this if it weren't for the love of the fans.
Yeah. And the comments, I mean, they're so Canadian. They're so polite and people just sharing what they have to say. And it's great. So subscribe, comment, help us out, be a part of this. And with that, our cast of characters, who are all characters, thank you so much. We'll see you all next time.